Feel like your life's scattered between sticky notes, emails, and endless to-do apps? I was drowning in chaos until Notion changed everything. So in this video, I'm going to show you the exact Notion system I use as a busy mom and entrepreneur to keep every task, every routine, and every idea in one place. My Notion system is simple, it's totally customizable, and it helps me feel organized without the overwhelm. To start, let me show you how to get everything in one place so you can finally breathe. So before I started using Notion, life basically felt like a scattered pile of yarn. But now with Notion, it's a tapestry. It's interconnected, it's intentional, and strong enough to hold everything in my life together. And more specifically, that tapestry for me is my Productive Boss Notion system that starts with my Supreme Second Brain dashboard. And specifically, my Notion Second Brain is like a filing cabinet in my mind. So my brain stopped being like a junk drawer and became a labeled, organized cabinet. So I could say goodbye to mental clutter, scattered ideas, and lack of focus. So let's jump into what this looks like in my Productive Boss Notion system, which, by the way, if you want to steal this entire system, it's linked in the description below. So this system utilizes the PARA method from Building a Second Brain by Tiago Forte and tenets from the book Getting Things Done by David Allen. So let's start off with the aspects of the template that are from the book Getting Things Done by David Allen, which is the task database and the notes database. And some of you guys are familiar with my own framework, the COPE method, which combines both the Getting Things Done method and as well as the Second Brain framework into one that is really helps and I think efficient for ambitious women. So the C stands for capture, and here's where I do capturing of all my to-dos and all of my ideas. The first place is the task management system and the second place is the notes hub. So let's take a look at both of these in my Notion system. So what I'm going to show you guys is a demonstration of my whole entire system, my Productive Boss Notion system, simply because my personal one has all of my personal information in it and a lot of things that I want to keep as a surprise for you guys, so I don't want to accidentally show it. But this is exactly like the one that I use and is the template that you can get in the link below if you're interested in using this Productive Boss system. So the dashboard is your Supreme Second Brain, or I also like to call it the Organized Brain. I like both those names, so I put them on here. And you will see on the dashboard, this is where you'll access everything, and this is where the Second Brain framework is. Okay, but to start, let me show you the components that are really from Getting Things Done and utilize the C in my COPE method, which is to capture. So anytime I have an idea or a note on the go or a to-do on the go, like, oh, I need to book a dentist appointment for my kids, or maybe I was watching a YouTube video or podcast, I'm more talking about things you need to get done and notes that you need to take. Anytime I have anything like that that comes up in my brain, I will put it as a task or a quick note. So let's say that it was a task. Obviously I have access to Notion on my phone as well. I can just click this button from the dashboard, or if it's a note, I can add it here, and I process all these in my weekly review. So let's take a look at what the task database looks like. So in the task database, you have that quick task add button that I use a lot as well. And I have this button to set any unscheduled tasks for today if I am feeling really behind. But honestly, I don't use that button as much because I do my weekly review where I process my captured task and captured notes each and every week. So for example, let's say that this task said something like schedule my daughter's dentist appointment that I didn't want to forget, or call back someone that called me back, or follow up on something. I have so many to-dos, but all of a sudden I'm blanking on to-do items. But you guys get the idea. Those things that you have that are just like mental clutter that we try to hold on to, you really want to get in the habit of adding them to your running to-do list, which is your task management system, right away in your Notion. And this is where they will show up when they're unprocessed. When I process them, then they're moved to this active task list where they will live for me to schedule out, or if they're done, they'll live in this completed task list. And then if you want to have a look at things you're past due on, it would show up here, and you also have a look at your task calendar. So let me give you an example of how this works. So let's say that this was tasked to schedule a dentist appointment, and the due date, this is the 27th, 2027. But let's say that was the date I wanted to get it done by. Then since it's processed, I will move it to scheduled. Okay, I'm going to move this back to the inbox just for the demo purposes. But let's say it was something that I wanted to get done in this next coming week. Let's say it's a Friday and I'm planning my week and I want to get it done in the coming week. I would mark it like that, and then I just click it as due next, and it will move to this due next section. Now, these are older just as a demo purposes, but this is all categorized by due date. So all the due next items would be here because they would be for that following week and be earliest. And so when I go to plan my week in my weekly planner, I know to schedule all those in red in the coming week and move that to my weekly plan. And then anything else is going to be scheduled out, and then I process anything that needs to be moved to due next. The other items that I have here as statuses that I can choose from is either usually going to be scheduling it, like adding a due date and it's scheduled. So here, or adding a due date and it's for the next week. Sometimes I might put things on hold or in progress, meaning it's not necessarily due next week, but it's something I'm actively working on over some weeks, then I'll put in progress. If it's something like I'm waiting for somebody to get back to me on before I can take action, I'll put waiting for, and that let me know maybe I need to follow up with them or I just need to sit tight. So that's my task management. It's really your running to-do list in a centralized place, so you don't have to keep all of that in your head. You now have it in one place, and I'll show you how it's all integrated throughout my entire system, which is really nice to have. And then the same thing goes for my notes hub. If it's not necessarily a to-do item, but a idea that I want to keep and maybe process later, add to a project later, add to a resource later, add to one of my life areas later, I'll just quickly grab it in my notes hub. And then I also go through here, you can see it's inboxed here, and I would, on my weekly reviews on Friday, anything that's marked as inbox, I will go through and just process it and move it where it needs to go. So maybe attach it to a project, a resource, or any other sort of thing that it might be connected to, and then I'll just change the status to organized. Or if it's I'm still processing it, I would move it to processed. So those are the pieces from David Allen's Getting Things Done. He says our minds are meant for having ideas, not for storing them. So throughout the week, this alone, having this in your Notion system and task management system and a notes hub is really going to help you clear the mental clutter and in turn help you have more mental peace. Okay, so then the rest of the second brain system that I've built out in Notion for me utilizes the PARA method from Tiago Forte's Building a Second Brain book. So this is where I organize everything that I've captured throughout the week and is the O in my COPE method. And the first part of the system, PARA method, starts with projects. So let's take a look at that now. All right, so you can see here that after the task, the PARA method is lined up here, and there's also ways to access it throughout like the life areas. But let's start with projects. Once I open the projects database in my Productive Boss Notion system, you will get access to all the projects you have going on, and they're organized with these cards. So you have your inbox. These are projects you maybe thought about during the week and you just captured it. Hey, I want to get this project done, but you haven't had time to really process. Is this going to be like a someday maybe project, which I have a category for here? Or is this going to be something that I just haven't started yet or I have in progress? So if we open it, you will see new details that you can change it to someday maybe. That's great for entrepreneurs where you maybe have this great idea that you don't want to lose, but you don't want to lose focus on what you're working on right now, the goals that are most important to you. So you can park it in that someday maybe, and you have an opportunity to come back to it if you want to. I hardly ever come back to this, but it's nice to have. I do have a part of my Getting Things Done weekly review checklist is to check on this someday maybe project, see if there's anything I want to move over to active, which like I said, I rarely do, but just in case. Then also not started, in progress, waiting on a client, or done. And these projects database here is going to be all of my projects. But when I go like into my home management area or my business hub area, I'll see the projects just for that life area. And here is a view in this database of all the projects that I have. And like I said, you can just move the cards over to the different statuses that you want them to be. And let's also just look at how the template is set up for me, which I think works best. So let's say you have a project to renovate your deck, because I just did that. So let's put here, renovate deck. And then you have several different tasks that are going to happen, because the definition of a project, which I think I have it in the projects database or the projects page. Project in this system is a focused effort with clear objectives, includes sections for capturing ideas, notes, and organizing tasks and timelines. So the idea of a project is it has deadlines and more than one task attached to it. So that's what separates a project from a task. And so let's say the first task was to create a posting on Thumbtack for a contractor. Then maybe you want to schedule, because that's schedule 3 quotes from contractors. Then maybe you want to decide on the contractor. So you can really break it down. And then maybe you also have some resources, like maybe you have a Pinterest board that you want to link here of decks that you like. You could add that here. And then any related notes that you have to getting your deck renovated. And the nice thing is, since it's all integrated, once you go here to the task database that we were just in, all those tasks are going to show up. So when you go to process your tasks each week and give them deadlines and schedule them out, they will all be in your one task database. You don't have to jump to each project and try to find each task. It's all synced together. So that's the project database. We'll go back. And this database is so helpful in keeping me organized. All the moving pieces of being a mom and having projects for our home, for my kids, for my business, for myself, being able to have a place and see everything I'm working on helps me prioritize, but it also helps me get a bird's eye view of what's going on in my life without having to keep it in my head. So that's really a game changer. Let's move to the next piece, which are the life areas. So the second part of the system, of the second brain system, is areas in the para method, which are life areas. So let me dive into what that looks like in my Productive Boss Notion system. So when I open my dashboard, I have access to my life areas, and if you have this template, you do too. But I also have them, a view of that database here on the dashboard directly, so you can access them either way. So let's take a look at what these actually are. So the way the second brain sort of defines life areas, I call them life areas, these ongoing things in your life. Unlike projects where they have a deadline and they end and they're kind of one-off things, areas are things that are ongoing in your life and personal to you. So they're different from resources in the sense that resources might use them ongoingly, but you could like share a resource with someone without deleting any of your personal information, like an article or, you know, some pictures or YouTube video podcast. Whereas information in your life areas is probably going to be personalized to you, your life, your business, that kind of thing. So you can see the examples of the life areas that I have here. And most of these are templates that come with the Productive Boss Notion system. So the business hub, the goals, the habits and routines, and the home management system. You might also have personal development or like a health maintenance life area. So these are going to be all the areas that you're going to keep up with on an ongoing basis. And then the third part of the system, the Productive Boss Notion system, the dashboard that uses the Supreme Second Brain, is resources. So you can click resources here, but you can also scroll down, and this is nice on the phone too, and any resource that you mark as a favorite is going to show up on your dashboard under the favorite resource section. You can see in here I have some things to give you ideas of resources, recipes, productivity articles, and if you get the Productive Boss Notion system, it does come with a Notion 101 mini course that is embedded in the course here, and you also get access to it when you get the template, along with all the deep dive tutorials for each template in the system. So just a heads up on that. But let's take a look at resources. It's pretty simple, straightforward. You go into it here. This is where you can keep all of your resources. Let me show you inside. Here is where you can mark it as a favorite, and if you want it to show up on the homepage, so if you're on the go, you have easy access to it. I have like my recipes marked as a favorite, that kind of thing. And then you can link it to any project, any like sales page. You can add a URL and then really add anything in the resource section that you want to add for that resource. So pretty simple and straightforward, but super useful. And I use this part of my second brain all the time. And then the fourth part of the para method is the archive. So if we go here, you will see that anytime you check a project is archived, a task is archived, a resource area note, it's going to show up here. That way you don't have to delete anything, which is really great if you get nervous about deleting things. You always have access to it, especially in the search system, but also here. That way you have everything organized. It's out of sight, out of mind. But if you do end up needing it, you do always have access to it in your archive. And the great part is, let's say if I go into our task database, if I go into a task and click this archive button, it'll automatically show up in your archive. So everything is integrated and really nice. Okay, now that we've discussed the larger framework, which is my Supreme Second Brain, we still need to infuse the system with intention, because if we don't, we will still be hustling backwards. But how can we infuse a Notion system with intention, you might be asking? Let me show you that next. So you can think of it like this. Organizing and capturing everything in your second brain is like catching the ball. Infusing that system with intention is like aiming before you throw the ball back. And I've infused my Productive Boss Notion system with tools to help you and me be more intentional by aligning and activating. So these next 4 templates in my system will help you go from vague goals and no follow through to aligned and energized action towards what actually matters. Because we all know we don't have time to waste, so let's take a look at these 4 templates. So let's talk about how I get really intentional with my Notion system, or how it helps me really be intentional. So we're gonna go to the goals life area, and I first want to show you 2 templates here that really help me. So the first one is our vision board template, which comes with my Productive Boss Notion system. So let's open that up. It comes with instructions on how to use it, a video tutorial, all those things. It also comes with all of the Canva templates to change things like the area, cover page, and to create the vision board. But what I really like in here are the reflection prompts that help you actually come to what you're going to put on your vision board to create a vision board that works, and also create your word of the year. Then you have a space to do your annual goal planning for yourself, and you can also add your business goals here to put it there and how much progress you've had. This is like a graphic of that updates by itself of how much progress we've had in the year. And then you have a place to put your vision board and your word of the year in the center. And again, you get the Canva template. Put your vision board. I like to add colors to set the vibe, and then put the word of the year in the beginning. And then again, it gives you all those prompts to help you decide what to put on your board and to decide on your word of the year. So that one obviously is going to help us be really intentional. And then this Productive Boss Notion system also comes with my 12-week year highly loved Notion template. So let's open that up. So here's an example. Again, it comes with the tutorial. It also comes with the summary of the book, The 12-Week Year, just in case you want like a quick sheet of the strategies of the 12-week year. It comes with the tutorial for the 12-week year. Then you also have a worksheet to set your commitment, which if you use the 12-week year, you know what that is, and your vision, your larger vision before you set up the 12-week year. Then you have a place very similarly to put your 12-week year goals. You also have a look at the month, the quarter, and the year progress. You can also put your vision board here again if you'd like. And this is the part that I really love in my Notion system, and these two I use so regularly. First is your quarterly goal strategy. So you set your larger quarterly goal, then you relate that quarterly goal to your yearly goal, so your star and moon goal if you know my system. And then you have a bird's eye view of the months in that 12-week year to help you really plan and strategize how you're going to meet your quarterly goal. I would always miss this on templates that I would have before of the 12-week year because I needed a place to kind of get it out of my head and map it and strategize it. So I created it for my own. So you can see this example here. By Q4, I'm going to gain 100 subscribers on YouTube, related to her yearly goal of building an online community that helps ambitious women. So then she can lay out her 3 goals to get there: creating videos, going live, finding a video editor, what she's going to do each month in that quarter to meet that quarterly goal. And you can really break it down. So that's one piece that I really love. And then of course, the more popular piece of the 12-week year, which is the weekly scorecard, is also embedded here. You can attach it to like whatever quarterly goal that you've set here. You can connect it to whatever quarterly goal that you have. You also can track it throughout the week. You can decide when you're going to complete it. And then you can also put the percent completed here, and it'll show up. You want to be hitting 85% each week. And then once you're done each week to set up for the new week, you can just reset each quarter. We'll go back to the dashboard and we'll go here. I'll show you something that I really like about this new way I have it set up in the goals area is because I have each template embedded in a database that you can just click. That way, when you have a new quarter or a new year, you can just click here to set one up instead of trying to duplicate the original template again and finding where to put it. I think it's just much more streamlined this way. And then again, I have those tutorials on how to use them both there if you are interested. Again, I use these two so much. I look at my vision board whenever I'm doing any type of planning, any milestone, and I'm looking at my 12-week year Notion system so much. So that's how I use that. So we can go back. Another thing that really helps me be intentional, and back to my life areas here, is my habits and routines organizer, which I will show you in this demo area. So in my habits and routines life area, I have 2 things: the getting things done weekly review, which I've been mentioning a lot. This is just a checklist of everything I do each week during my weekly review, and it uses my methods of productivity, and then you can reset it each week. So that's one thing. And then what is like one of my favorite things, and I don't really see any Notion templates out here like this, or at least I never have, is my habits and routines organizer. It comes with a tutorial on how to use this. First, clarify your values, what's most important to you in your life right now. Have a section to kind of think about, where you are, what season you are, and what's most important to you. And then once you've decided on that, the first thing you're going to do is clarify your habits. So for each life domain, you're going to come here and say, based on what's most important to me right now, what habits do I want to have in each of these areas? In my business, what habits do I want? Career, cleaning, family habits, financial habits, friendship habits, health and wellness, home habits, leisure, and personal growth. And once you decide on all of those, it's connected to this routines viewer where you go and decide when you want to do each habit. So for each habit, you'll see, let's go find habit 2 or 1. Okay, here's 2. You can see inside it's set to, this is going to be part of my morning routine. Now, if you use my 3-7 time blocking method, this is going to go with it perfectly because your 7 routines are already mapped in here already. So you just choose, okay, so maybe I want to call my friend each morning. So instead of habit 2, this would say call bestie or something, or voice note bestie. I want to do that in my morning routine. So that's 2 of the 7 routines, number 2 of the 7. And you would click that. And then once you assign for each habit when you want to get it done. Like I said, it's going to show up in your routines viewer here, all the habits that you set that you want to do for each routine. So you have your 7 routines for the day. You also have your weekly routines, monthly, quarterly, no routines. These haven't been set yet, and your yearly routines, at least in this demo. And then once you have the viewer, this is a great placeholder, a container for living an intentional life. This is what you have decided beforehand you want your days to look like. You want to make sure you're doing each week, each month, all those things. So when life gets messy, you can always come back and see what you had decided on, what you want to be getting done, and it serves as this intentionality. And then when it comes to tracking, you have your habit and routine tracker here. So you have your daily habit tracker, your weekly habit tracker, monthly, quarterly, yearly. So I love this because first of all, the daily one is on the dashboard on the front page of my Notion system. So I largely use it there. It's connected. But when I need to go plan my week, my weekly review, I have a task to look at my weekly habit tracker, see how I'm doing with my things, make sure that they're scheduled in my planner. Then when it's the first of the month, and you guys have seen probably if you've been on my channel, my monthly plan with me, I look at my monthly habit tracker to reset for each month. When it's the beginning of a new 12-week year, I look at my quarterly habits that I want to do to reset for the quarter and the year and so on. I also have some tips on how to be consistent, stick with your habits, how to get back on track here, some signs that you're falling off to input. That way you know what your personal signs of falling off track look like maybe you're staying up later, you're scrolling more at night. You can look out for those things so you can know how to plan ahead for them and just some more resources. So this is one of my favorite templates in my Productive Boss Notion system that I use so much. It like guides my life, and I know other people really like it as well. And then I already mentioned my Getting Things Done weekly review. This is part of my P in my COPE method, which is to prioritize and schedule, but it's also the E in my COPE method, which is to engage. So after you've captured and you organized everything in your para method, you're going to prioritize, and I start that by just going down my Getting Things Done weekly review checklist, and then the engaging part is planning my week. So I book all my non-negotiables, my weekly habits into my weekly plan. Then I batch anything that I put on that due next section when I'm organizing my task and my task management system. Anything that's due next is going to be booked on an appropriate batch day. And then I do my time blocking. So this is my BBB method to time block out my days according to my 3-7 method. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, now your mind is clear. You have the alignment you need to focus on what matters. But next I want to show you a Notion productivity system that none of the productivity gurus and productivity bros are talking about, but it does have the power to help you get 10 times more done and reach your goals with more peace actually. Because here's the truth no one talks about. Once you have your goals and the habits and routines you want to utilize to reach those goals, your productivity can't depend on push through, it can't depend on jazz hands, and it can't depend on just hustle. Your productivity should depend on a strong foundation. So imagine your ambitions and your productivity are the tree. It's what you can see, it's what you produce. Your productivity is this beautiful tree, right? But underneath the ground, what we can't see is the strong root system that supports that tree. And that root system is the peace in your home, and it's the peace in your family. When the roots are not nourished, the tree is weak. And the same thing goes for your hustle. When your home life is not taken care of, your productivity suffers. So let me show you the Notion template that quietly helps me run everything behind the scenes, chores, meals, bills, routines, so I don't have to. And this really is where peace meets productivity. So let's jump into my home management template. Okay, so we're going to look at my home management template, which is here. This is based exactly on the one that I use and created for the Productive Boss Notion system, and have been using this one now for a couple of years. So it starts off with a navigation here on the left, which is really handy when I'm on the go, especially when I'm doing my weekly home blessing and I just want to decide on the 6 things, or my zone cleaning, because this is at the top here. So it's really also useful on the go. You can also integrate your family calendar, which I suggest families use for productivity. So having like a Google Calendar, Google email dedicated just to the family. So it's not just mom that's responsible for that, or if maybe it's the dad in your family that handles all the emails and the kids' events and all the family stuff. It's a team. So mom and dad, or mom and mom, whatever your family looks like, has access to it. And it's not just one person. And so I have instructions here on how to embed a Google Calendar if you want to put that here instead of this Notion calendar, which is what I have. I have our Google family calendar here. So in the weekly home blessing, so I use the Fly Lady system when it comes to a cleaning system in my home, but I manage it here in Notion. So I have some instructions if you want to learn how to do it yourself, very brief instructions. And I also have a link to YouTube video. And then basically is you take an hour to do 6 tasks in your home, and your home looks like a cleaning person came to your home. I usually do mine on Saturdays when my kids go to gymnastics. You can do it with your kids there. It can actually help you do these things. And they only take 10 minutes each. You're not getting obsessive. You're not becoming a perfectionist. You're just doing this once a week to maintain your home and set you and your family up for peace in the coming week. As a working woman, like I said, I do this on Saturday. So these are the 10-minute tasks that I choose from when I'm setting up my week's task, and I just put them in, and then I get to work and doing that. Set a timer for each one because I have OCD, so I especially like vacuuming, and I want to get in there and do it like to like perfection with the lines and all the things, but set a timer so I can task switch, which I'm bad at, and be more flexible. And then I just give you some options to do there. I always put away cleaning supplies as number 6 because it does take me about 10 minutes and I really want this to only be an hour. I have some tips and why it works here. So that's the weekly home blessing section. This is the home projects. Like I said, it's connected to the overall project database. So this is one that's there, renovate deck home project. I like to use that as an example, but that will also show up. So let's see, I didn't put it with a status. What's the status? But now that I put it in progress, it'll show up in that larger database that we were looking at before. This is a filter view of all the home projects. Then we have our zone cleaning. So I also do 1 hour a week of zone decluttering or zone deep cleaning, depending on if you are done with decluttering in your home or not, where you just take an hour, or you can take 15 minutes a day, 4 days a week during the week. Again, I'm a working mom, so I don't have time to do that. So I do it on the weekends for just the full hour. And then each week you do a different zone in your house. So these are the zones, and I do them all usually on Sundays, and you just rotate. And so if I open them, I have ideas for you to help you with decluttering tasks in each one of these zones. I also have deep cleaning tasks that you can think of, seasonal tasks if you want some ideas, and an upkeep routine for 5 minutes a day if you want some ideas for that, and the zones. And I look at those myself. And then just to quickly go through this, so a lot of this is self-explanatory. We have our weekly non-negotiables that's linked to the habits and routines organizer. We have our family hub where you can keep notes for each family member. So again, you're not having to keep it all in your head. This is kind of like what my family looks like if we were in stock pictures. And then you can just go in there and you can see school notes, current interest, goals and struggles, health and wellness notes. And of course you can write anything else that you want in there for yourself. You can also stick your family calendar here, family rules and goals, friends and family birthday list, which is helpful, family traditions that you want to keep up with, and like a prayer list. So like you say you're going to pray for somebody, you actually have a list. So you're not just saying it and you're actually going back to it and praying for those folks. You have a place to put your budget, home maintenance, upkeep, monthly, quarterly, yearly. And I just have some ideas of what you can do for each one of those things just to keep up. So yeah, that's our home template, and the dashboard has an access to that family upkeep for easy access. So this really is like the foundation of my productivity. It's what keeps like having our home and my family taken care of. It allows me to be more productive, allows me to go harder during the week because we have these systems set up in our home, and this Notion template is a tool that I have to help with those systems. And I just want to show you, if I go to the projects hub, again, you can see that other renovate deck home project that was we just saw in our home management system, home management template, shows up here in the projects overall database as well, because it's all interconnected, which I love now that we added the status. Now, if you want to just see all projects, it would have shown up here anyway. This is a list of active projects now that I added it as active with a status. Okay, and I will say this template, this home management template, is exclusive to my Productive Boss Notion system template. So again, if you want to check out the entire system, be sure to click the link below. Okay, you're mentally clear, you're intentional, and now you have the foundational support. But how do we actually get down to business? Let me show you the template that makes executing and being consistent in your business a breeze. So I like to think about finally getting your business organized as like moving your business from a messy garage to a pro studio. Suddenly everything has a place and you can operate like the empire that you're building. So let me show you my organized business framework that I use in Notion to actually stay productive and consistent in my business. Okay, and I'm actually going to go through this quickly because I just did an entire free workshop that I will link below, going over my business hub and how my organized business framework, not just in Notion, but also including my Notion template. So I'm gonna go over it quickly because I just recently went further into depth. So my business hub is one of my life areas. If you get this Productive Boss Notion system, you have a start here guide and you have a deep dive tutorial on how to use this system and framework, along with lots of other tutorials. So this is the business hub dashboard. When you first open it up, you have an area to put your common assets like your content calendar, your KPI dashboard, which is so important, your weekly review checklist, your business tasks, and your business projects. So these are things that you'll just probably click a lot. So I want to put at the top, and then, or at least I do. So I put it for you guys. And then you also have a place to put your quick links that for anything outside of Notion, your business website, your calendar booking link, your primary social media, important Google Drive folders. And so it's all there at the top just to make things convenient and easy. And then you also have a view of your business tasks that are due this week. So when you add any task to your task management system that we looked up earlier, you can mark it as business, as part of your business hub, a task for your business. When you do that, it will all show up here. All those tasks will show up here. So let's say that I wanted to email brand partner. I don't know what kind of task that is. I'm just thinking of one, but let's say I did that. So email brand partner, if we open this, we can see it's marked as business hub. And also if we go back to our task management system, you can see that that task automatically populates in your task management system. So you'll see it when you're doing your weekly review, and it has the related life area of the business hub. So let's go back to that business hub. So you'll have a list of all your business tabs filtered here. Then when you scroll down, you have your business habits and routines organizer, because this is the way that I like to organize my business. So in the day-to-day, which I call the launch pad, you have those tasks that you need to get done, but you also have your priorities of your routines, your habits and routines. So what are those things in your business that you need to do every day, every week, every month, and so on. So you have a view of that here. You have the daily tracker here to look at all the habits that you need to be doing on a daily basis before you're moving on to any other extra task or business project. And then you have a list of your business projects here. This is also good for teams. So if they have habits that you assign to them, which I'll show you in just a second, in their view of it, they know to do their habits first, their routine first, before moving on to any projects that you assigned. And you can have an idea of, based on those routines that they need to be doing on a daily and weekly basis, how much time you actually have to give them like extra projects on the side. So this is my organized business framework here. Again, watch the workshop if you want to deep dive into how to use this system. But you can see here, I'll just go over it quickly. In the command center in my business hub, this is where I store things like my vision and strategy, my brand compass, my KPI dashboard. My brand compass is one of the favorite places that I have because I love branding. And you can see you have prompts and spaces to put visual brand guide, your customer avatar, your copy manual. Everything is organized and organized for actionability. This whole system is. So the second brain, but also the business hub, the organized business system. So when you need to get down to business, you can go really fast. So that's the command center. It's basically your larger picture, your vision that guides your whole business, your vision and strategy, your brand, and your KPIs. Then we have, if we go back, we could also go from here, but from the dashboard, we have our engine room. And this is where the ins and out, the systems of your business. So you have your engine systems, the things that are actually helping the business go. And then you also have your fuel systems. So in the engine systems, you have things that you're doing to attract. So think marketing, customers, all those things, convert customers. So sales, deliver your product or your program, whatever it is that you deliver as part of your business, and your systems to innovate, to constantly improve your product, your delivery, your conversion, all those things. And then you have your fuel systems where you keep your finance information and your team information. You can add the team members. And then you can also then, when you have a task or a project or an SOP, you can just tag each one of them with the team members that you have set up here. So this is really helpful. Each page has the SOPs for each engine system. Again, I'm not going to go into each one of these because I just did a deep dive on it in my recent workshop. It was live here on YouTube. So if you just go to my live channel or click the link below, that's how you do it. And then the launch pad, which I'll just go to from here, is what I use on the day-to-day in my business. So this is, like I said, the habits and routines. You have a view of all your business habits and routines here at the top. That way you know those are the priorities to do before you do anything else. And then you have those tasks that you have decided, usually part of a project. You have a view of your projects, and then you have all your SOPs listed here, and they are organized by what system they belong to, or so they're part of your attract system. So like lead magnets, those sort of things, conversion, deliver, all those things. And if anytime you need to know how to do something, or a new team member, or it's just something that you frequently forget how to do, you yourself can go here, and then your business resources show up here, linked to your overall resources in your second brain. This is filtered for all the business ones. So I'm in here a lot in my work day, and it's really nice again because everything is integrated. So that is my business hub in Notion. It's really robust. So I just kind of glazed over the surface here. Again, this is exclusive to my Productive Boss Notion system. And if you want to check it out, you can click the link below if you want a detailed overview of what this is really like and how it works. And I will say, for the women out there looking to finish the year strong and actually achieve your 2025 goals before the year ends, be sure to sign up for my free upcoming workshop that is starting at the end of this month called Finish the Year Strong. strong. You can sign up at the link in the description. I hope to see you there. And now my Productive Boss Notion system is a tool that helps me implement the systems I use in my life. But if you want to deep dive into my entire life organization system, be sure to watch this video next. And until next time, cheers to planning, manifesting, and enjoying your dream life. Namaste.